he did not do. And now he was faced with 65 years. We got it reduced down, but he still needs to be home.
Let's talk about the dysfunction of the justice system, because I'm sure there was an opportunity for him to plead guilty to something at a lesser penalty. He refused. Let's talk about how this got to a 65-year sentence of a 15-year-old. I don't know the law like you do, so I'm still in law school myself, but we've studied cases where we've considered that unconstitutional for a long time, to sentence a 15-year-old to such time.
Right, I agree, and I was there arguing with Brian Stevenson, the landmark case, and Miller v. Jackson, and where we argued that young folks should not be sentenced to these sort of harsh sentences, ultimately to die in prison. And so what this judge did here, what Sibley Reynolds did, he basically found a way around that by not giving them a life sentence, but he gave them a 65-year sentence, one that the life expectancy of a black man, that's a death sentence. He sentenced him with the intent to make sure that he never comes out of that prison again. And so it's cruel. Unfortunately, it's not unusual. And in law school that both components have to be met, the cruel and unusual. Yep. It's absolutely cruel, but in Alabama and states like ours, it's not unusual. So we have a hard time meeting that Eighth Amendment burden.
Wow. Before I go back to the mother, Attorney Maxwell, let me ask you one more question. At this point, is there anything that can hold the judge accountable for the obvious difference between the sentencing of the white male and then the sentencing of the black male juvenile?
Well, typically we know that this has gone on for centuries, for decade after decade, where there's been this complete disproportionate type of sentencing depending on skin color. And we've taken certain steps in legislation and other things to try to correct that. But we know that we can't correct the human side of it. We have a judge here who is inflicting that sort of white supremacist identity onto this case. As far as what it is that we could do, this judge sentenced him and basically got out and retired. He knew exactly what he was doing. He still might oversee a few other cases, and we want to make it known. And I know that us and other organizations, we're reviewing his cases right now. We saw what happened here, and we think there's a pattern. And if there is a pattern, there's probably a lot of our sons locked up and incarcerated for erroneous miscarriage of style sentences that should be home right now. And so we want to hold them accountable, and we want to make sure those who have been affected receive some sort of benefit.
All right. We're going to go to a quick break. We'll be right back. We got more to come. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
Welcome to the show. I am Nina Turner, and you are tuned in to Unbossed. I'm feeling unbossed today. I'm feeling the walk-on music, and I have with me in the co-host chair today, because it is Friday, none other than Mayor Mondale Robinson. Mayor, how are you doing on? For some people, this would be called the Good Friday, if you are of the Christian faith, the Friday right before Easter. How are you doing?
It's definitely Good Friday, but every Friday I'm on your show is Good Friday. So I guess it's good and right.
It's good and right Friday. Yes, a different kind of Good Friday. Well, for all those who celebrate faith traditions, whether it is Judaism, Christianity, or Islam, hey, happy Holy Week or days, as we put it. And you know what, Mayor, it's very rare where all three religions have that in common. I think it happens once a century or something like that, in terms of having it stacked, or three times. And here we are, we got that happening right here. So to those who celebrate and recognize, happy to all of you. We're gonna get right into this. It is a very sad, bad time right now in the great state of Tennessee. And we're gonna talk, the mayor and I are gonna go real deep into this, why each and every American, each and every freedom-loving American should care about what happened to two Black Democrats in the legislature in the great state of Tennessee. And this is not about whether or not you agree with being a Democrat. This is about agreeing with what is just, good, and right. And the fact that the voices of the people who elected those two representatives have been stripped away by some fascist ass members of the GOP. Yep, that's right. And later in the show, a North Carolina Democrat switches parties, giving the GOP veto-proof supermajority. The mayor is gonna be all over that one. And later in the show, Marjorie Taylor Greene calls New York City disgusting, filthy, and repulsive. Then don't go, Marjorie. Just don't go back to New York. If you don't like New York, don't go. They didn't invite you to go there anyway, but you went and got ran out. Now, don't forget to subscribe. If you are new to the show, welcome. We are so glad that you are here. If you are a regular viewer, thank you so much for what you do. Please share this link with others and tell them don't miss the best hour of their day. And make sure you let them know they can watch video on demand by going to YouTube, TYT YouTube, or just put in Nina Turner Unbossed and it will come right up. The great state of Texas is not so great. The fascist, racist, anti-Black GOP members of the House of Representatives did this.
Yes, I tell you, it was a sad day on Saturday. All hope seemed to be lost. Representatives were thrown out of the state house. Democracy seemed to be at its end. Seemed like the NRA and gun lobbyists might win. But that was good news for us. I don't know how long this Saturday in the state of Tennessee might last. But we have good news, folks. We've got good news that Sunday always comes. Resurrection is a promise. And it is a prophecy. It's a prophecy that came out of the cotton fields. It's a prophecy that came out of the lynching tree. It's a prophecy that still lives in each and every one of us in order to make the state of Tennessee the place that it ought to be. And so I've still got hope because I know we are still here and we will never quit.
Wow, let the church say amen. That was Representative Justin J. Pearson speaking truth to power before the House GOP vote to expel him. He was one of the three Democratic lawmakers, they are known as the Tennessee Three, facing expulsion for showing solidarity and protesting with those who rallied at the state capitol to call for action following the recent mass shooting at Covenant School. Let us not forget 3 babies were shot and killed, 3 children, and 3 adults were shot and killed. Their parents will never ever be the same. Their grandparents and anybody that loved those babies will never ever be the same. And for the adults who were killed, their families and friends will never ever be the same. So wrap your mind around that as we go through this story. He was one of those 3. So he and Representative Justin Jones, 2 Black men, were the only ones expelled. Now the Tennessee Three, 2 Black men and 1 white woman. The white woman was spared. Justin Jones spoke to the true reason for his expulsion and that of Representative Justin Pearson. Watch.
Let's talk about expulsion. For years, one of your colleagues who was an admitted child molester sat in this chamber. No expulsion. One member sits in this chamber who was found guilty of domestic violence. No expulsion. What you're saying to us, since you're trying to put us on trial, I'll say what you're really putting on trial is the state of Tennessee. What you're really showing for the world is holding up a mirror to a state that is going back to some dark, dark roots. A state in which the Ku Klux Klan was founded is now attempting another power grab by silencing the two youngest Black representatives and one of the only women, Democratic women in this body. That's what this is about.
You better say that, Representative. The state where the KKK was founded is returning back to its roots. He made it really plain right there. My stunt double really spoke out on this pathetic yet unsurprising vote. Here's what she had to say. So Tennessee Republicans are only expelling Black members. They're letting their true colors show. Anti-Black as hell. We don't have time to play around with this anymore. Let's just tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Now, here's the backstory of how all this came to be. GOP lawmakers filed 3 resolutions on Monday, one each seeking the expulsion of Reps Gloria Johnson of Knoxville, Justin Jones of Nashville, and Justin Pearson of Memphis, each of whom was already removed from their committee assignments after last week's demonstrations. The resolutions were filed by Reps Bud Husley, Gino Busso, and Andrew Farmer. The 3 Democratic lawmakers led a protest on the House floor last Thursday, CNN affiliate WSMV reported, using a bullhorn as demonstrators called for lawmakers to do something to prevent further gun violence after 3 9-year-olds and 3 adults were killed in a mass shooting at a private Christian school last week. And now this, Tennessee Republicans accused of overt racism after Democratic duel's expulsion, you think? And I want you to watch 2 particular exchanges. First, Representative Pearson and Representative Andrew Farmer, who we mentioned earlier as one of the 3 lawmakers who filed the resolution for expulsion. Take a look.
Just because you don't get your way, you can't come to the well, bring your friends, and throw a temper tantrum with an adolescent bullhorn. But certainly don't start by commandeering the well while we're conducting business here in this Tennessee General Assembly. That's why you're standing there, because of that temper tantrum that day, for that yearning to have attention. That's what you wanted. Well, you're getting it now.
How many of you want to be spoken to that way? We're not talking about politics. We're not talking about even gun violence. How many of you would want to be spoken to that way? The reason that I believe the sponsor of this legislation, of this resolution, spoke that way is because he's comfortable doing it. Because there's a decorum that allows it.
There it is. Bring the mayor up right now. We're gonna jump into this, mayor. I had a lot more to say, but let's go ahead and have this conversation. That Representative Farmer talked to those 2 grown ass Black men like they were children. And what Representative Justin Pearson laid out is that the reason why you're doing this is because you're comfortable with it. This is part of the decorum. Now let's go back to Representative Farmer when he said that just because you don't get your way, you don't have a right to have a temper tantrum. Let me get this straight. 3 babies gunned down dead. 3 adults gunned down dead, and you want to talk about decorum? There is no more decorum when you have elected officials standing up there showing the requisite emotion, which the Tennessee 3 did. F your decorum. And that is what was necessary in that Tennessee legislature. But see, they knew that they had the votes, Mayor, to expel those men. And he had the pure unadulterated gall to stand up there and chastise those members like they were damn children. The gall. My grandmother would say more nerd than a brass ass monkey.
Yeah, and I think your grandmother would be spot on. I think what's disgusting to me is I'm a black man from the South, and the only thing I didn't hear in that statement from Farmer was boy.
Hey, say that.
I think he might have mumbled it because in his mind, his statement was definitely on par with that line of thinking.
Or Mayor, and I'm sorry to mess up your train of thought. Hope you don't lose it. He might as well just go ahead and call him a nigga. Point blank. Because every action they took, and I hate that word, but that's what bubbled up in my mind.
Absolutely, he said uppity.
And we gonna whoop you in public. We gonna let y'all know who really in control. Y'all might have got elected here. You may think you have some power, but you ain't got no power. We gonna show you who has the ultimate power. Go ahead, man. I just had to.
No, I mean it's absolutely right. And speaking of whipping, I mean keep in mind there's a representative somewhere in that chamber that last month you and I sat on the same show and talked about that's okay with hanging, bringing back lynching.
Yes.
He ain't expelled. The idea that you can lynch people in Tennessee. What really happens is a white woman has the right to challenge her white brothers and sisters and white folk and the status quo whiteness. Black folk don't. And when you get out of line, when you get uppity, this is what happens. This is why that white woman is still in the Tennessee legislature, especially when you couple the fact that what you're doing is you have black people speaking louder about the death of white kids.
Come on.
Mass shootings of white kids.
That part.
Because this ain't the first. We can't silo this mass shooting that happened in Tennessee from the one that happened at a church in Tennessee, or the other 121 that have taken place in this country this year alone. So I'm telling people what happens is when black people remind white people how savage whiteness is, how savage standing up for the gun lobby over children is. This is what happens.
Exactly what happens. But this is in Tennessee's DNA. So, Representative Pearson got it right. You standing up there doing that because there is an atmosphere that allows it. If they even thought there would be some consequences and repercussions, they would have thought twice. Lord have mercy. Let's go on to the next clip, y'all. We got some more to play. Let's do it.
Today, ladies and gentlemen, is we are upholding our Constitution. We are protecting the integrity of this body. Let's vote to expel him. That will send the case back to the voters in Davidson County. And if after looking at his conduct, they find he should come back, we will welcome him as a representative.
My colleague's statement was eloquent. What he was essentially saying was that Justin is an uppity Negro. How dare he point at the speaker and call a lie a lie? How dare he act like he's your equal? How dare he come before this body and not bow down? That's what Representative Bulso was saying, and that's what he told me on the elevator 2 days ago when he tried to incite violence against me and got in my face and said, "You are a damn disgrace." And I said, "Representative Bulso, hold on, let me pull up my phone. Can you say that again?" And he cowered and chose not to repeat it because he did not want the world to see what a disgrace he is for Williamson County voters.
That's it right there. That's it. Thank you, team, because y'all know I was gonna say put the mayor. That's it. I mean, Representative Jones encapsulated this whole deal, and it's a reminder of what Ida B. Wells, when her friends got killed because they got a little too uppity, and she exposed lynching in these United States of America, all over this country, but particularly in the South. This reminds me of this moment right here. Black folks, we will accept you as long as you march the way we march to the beat we say march to. But as soon as you get out of pocket, we have various ways in this country to remind you who is absolutely in control. So whether we're talking about these two representatives, or we're talking about Colin Kaepernick, or we're talking about Kyrie, hello somebody, we can name all kinds of names. This is what America does on a regular basis. And when people don't understand why black people are mad as hell and constantly, as James Baldwin once said, to be black in America is to be in a constant rage, to be conscious, he said. Let me put that, because we got a lot of black sisters and brothers who are not conscious. And I'm not saying, Mary, they gotta agree with everything you and I are saying, but they not conscious. Anybody that would fix their mouths to say this is a different country and things are not the same, something is wrong with them. Fixing their mouths to say that this country wasn't founded on racism and bigotry and anti-blackness, something is wrong with them. But hey, James Baldwin got it right. To be consciously black in America is to be in a damn rage all the time.
And when we're not enraged, we're done. We're pacifying or we're acting sleep, just as Ron DeSantis would have us. And I think this is absolutely disgusting that we see what these representatives are willing to do. They know that these brothers will be sent back to the General Assembly, but they're willing to waste taxpayer money so that they can fundraise, so they can go back to their white brothers and sisters. I'm glad you brought up Ida B. Wells, because it happened in one of these districts. That those killings of her friends was in Memphis.
That's
one of
right.
these gentlemen represents that district.
That's
So it's
exactly right.
Talk about full circle with racism. Talk about what kind of change, when the only time changes where the position of the wheel is. It's still America, still a circle, and it's all white.
Come on, that right there. I mean, Tennessee has a lot of blood on its hands. And you brought up fundraising, so team, let's go ahead and put this up and lead the mayor up. Put us up all three of us in the damn box. Just go ahead and do it. Nashville, Tennessee House Republicans that decided to uphold the rule of law. You know what? They always want to talk about the rule of law when it comes to black folks. That's when the rule of law is really in play. But suffice it to say, we ain't got to read this whole thing. Basically, to break it down, they fundraising off of this. That's just how shameless they are, Mayor. They got no shame and no fear of repercussions and consequences.
Yeah, I think the fact that they have a base that you cannot not know that they're lying. You're not a law and order when you're killing cops at the Capitol. You're not law and order when you're against the FBI. You're not law and order when you take a trip to New York when Trump's been arraigned to protest the justice system there. You're not law and order. You're white for whiteness. And that's all it is. And you're still funding it. You're funding it because of the same things that made the KKK a party then, makes the GOP a party now.
That's it. The only thing is, back then it was the Democrats. They were the KKK, and they were, okay, so what party really does black people truly have? And then by extension, poor working class people of all backgrounds. This is the revelation here, because we have not had true truth and reconciliation in this country. We are gonna be constantly reminded that this right here is real. So people had lots of responses, and none of us are surprised about what happened in Tennessee. People are still talking about it. The expulsions has created a firestorm of criticism, as well it should. State Rep Gloria Johnson, who is in fact that white woman that the mayor and I've been talking about, she is part of the Tennessee 3, no doubt about it. But she was spared expulsion by 1 vote. And when asked why, I got to give it to the representative. She went on and told the truth. Take a look.
Why were those 2 expelled and you weren't?
Well, I think it's pretty clear. I'm a 60-year-old white woman, and they are 2 young black men. In listening to the questions and the way they were questioned and the way they were talked to, I was talked down to as a woman, mansplained to, but it was completely different from the questioning that they got. And this whole idea that, why, that you have to almost assimilate into this body to be like us.
There it is. Now, Representative Johnson, we're gonna give it to you. Since we're gonna give that to you, you told the truth and she ain't flinch. Man, she didn't flinch, and that's rare.
Yeah, and she's in Tennessee, so a white woman speaking out loud. And I appreciate the fact that she ain't throw those brothers under the bus and try to make it like, oh, this is just an institutional problem. No, she said what it was. You can be black, but you will act white and to remain in this body. And when you don't, they will get rid of you. They will get rid of you. And I mean, it's so common, that same decor that allowed Farmer to talk down or Bolster to talk down to the Representative Jones is the same common comfortableness that she displayed. She laughed about it, kinda. And I know sometimes people laugh when they're uncomfortable.
Nervous,
but the fact that she laughed and kept on with the joking reminds people that like this is blatant in Tennessee. This is Tennessean. Like, right? This is what is the case. This is what's expected of your black face when you show up to this place.
Tennessean. That's a word, Mayor. That is it. That's a chapter. Tennessean. And they want you to conform. And sometimes it's not as overt as what we see in Tennessee. They do it in covert ways all across the country. You got these various political parties. They always want black folks to convert. I am a witness to conform, rather. I'm a witness, and because I don't conform, the latte liberals and the brunch bunch, you know, they ain't got no holler, because I will not conform, right? When it's time to tell the truth, we should be telling the truth about what is happening in this country, what is happening to black people in this country. This is just one example. And if this can happen to reps, people who were duly elected, imagine what's gonna happen to the folks in the neighborhoods all across this country. So the outrage continues, and well, it should. Representative Johnson was not the only one. We're gonna put up a tweet from Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib. This is fascism, call it what it is, Rep. Expelling your political opponent for demanding action on gun violence when children are dying is disgusting, and it is. And let us not forget about the adults. What we are gonna say is, especially when children die, we would expect that in this country it would move us. That's an especially. And we are not gonna forget that some grown folks died, and they got people who love them too. Let's not forget that. All right, and then we got Representative Jim McGovern. He spoke out too. This is fascism, full stop. Mega Republicans are no longer content with inaction on gun violence. Instead of thoughts and prayers, they want to silence and expel politicians who speak up to protect children and adults. I'm throwing that in there. I vehemently condemn this racist, undemocratic assault on freedom of speech. Mayor.
Yeah, I mean, that people forgot. This is America, right? What right does a black man have that a white man is obligated to listen to or respect?
Come on. Justice Harlan said that.
Right? And I think the tragedy is people pretend that this is something new. White people are animated right now about this. We've been screaming this since we got here. Y'all don't respect us. Even when we have the right to vote, you remind us that it means nothing when you want it to. You can get rid of the people we put in power to represent us whenever you're ready, whenever they're out of line, when they're not conforming to the status quo.
Just like that, and they know it. And so you brought up history. Let's go ahead and transition into the history, because they're gonna get taught. We're gonna teach our viewers a little lesson today. And this is fascism, full stop, no doubt about it. To use that absolute power and to demand that people conform to what you want them to conform to, or you're gonna punish them. This is exactly what happened. And as much as a collective society, especially within the confines of the Capitol, this country is not impervious, nor has it ever been impervious to the realities and the dangers of fascism. Now, I know we don't like to admit it, America, but this is in fact the truth, baby. It's the truth, it's the whole truth, and it's nothing but the truth. Let's put up this graphic, family. The team putting up this graphic right here. This is a summation of what you need to know. Now, the mayor and I could take the whole show and break all this down for you. Dr. Eric Brown, University of New England, just in case we got some folks who don't understand what we are talking about. Even before this country was founded as these United States of America, before its founding, it was operating under fascism and anti-blackness and racism and bigotry and sexism. Just put it all up in there. But see the chart, believe your eyes. 1619, the first Africans brought to Jamestown, Virginia. Hello, somebody. So we got from 1619, right? All the way to 1865 when we got the 13th Amendment to the Constitution. Almost 250 years, Mayor. 250 flipping years. And then when the troops pulled out of the South in 1877 because of a deal they struck for a presidential race, hello somebody, the United States troops pulled out of the South and left black people vulnerable to the same people who enslaved them. Hello somebody on that. Not only did we not get our 40 acres and a mule, it was slavery under another name. Black code, Jim Crow, segregation. Scrimping and begging and pleading folks to treat us like human beings on the soil that we were born on. And then 1954. So Mayor, we tired. And Fannie Lou Hamer the Great said it best. We sick and tired of being sick and tired. If people don't understand this, and you got some black folks who will fix their mouths to say that was ancient history and that none of that has to do with the suffering that black people are enduring today. They a lie and the truth is not in them. And I don't care if they black, blue, purple, brown, yellow. If you don't understand this, something is wrong with you.
And that wrong is something that they choose to have. This is the sleepiness that they want us to walk around with. I know this is your show, sister, but can we put me, you, and that graph back up? Can I ask for that? Because I think people don't need to let that go. It's slavery. It was in existence in this country as long or more years than we've been since slavery. More years since slavery ended. This idea that the people don't get confused by this red, green, and black. That ain't the freedom flag that Garvey created. This graph is to show you what America really is. And I'm glad the slavery epic is in red, because that's blood that didn't just bleed for black people being and fighting and resisting. It's also the growth of all of America's economy happens because of that period. That free labor that they had is the reason America is so wealthy right now. And the continuation of it, here's the sickness that exists in our DNA that shows up every day. It's the same thing that freed us, allegedly. The 13th Amendment is the same thing that re-enslaved us, because there's a but in that law. And when you put a but in a law, you give grounds for what could allow that condition to continue. And that but was the criminal justice system, and we saw it happen. And that's how they re-enslaved black people. And that's what's going on right now still. This is how America's fascism looks then and now.
That's it. And more black men, disproportionate to their numbers in the population, are in some way have been impacted by the criminal system, the legal system, and not in a fair way. Being fair, just, and right is one thing, but it was designed unfairly from the beginning. So you can't get good out of something that was made to be bad. And it is operating exactly. And man, let me add this, the list is long, from slavery to segregation to the Japanese internment camps during World War II, to locking up protesters refusing to support and fight in the Vietnam War. Shout out to the GOAT himself, Muhammad Ali, who laid it out and said, ain't none of them people over there ever called me a nigga. You want me to go over there and fight my brown brothers for this? Or are soldiers doing both of the wars, but they would come back here with that uniform on and be lynched in the United States of America. Even fighting wars wasn't good enough for some of these folks. So you want to know why we are in a rage all the time? These are just a few examples of why we are in a rage all the time. Then refuse it. And then the prison industrial complex, Mayor, that you and I sharing the same notes here, complex that is growing out of control. What they did to the Black Panthers, the counterintelligence program that was run by the FBI under J. Edgar Hoover, whose name should be removed from that building. This is the kind of shit we talking about. This is the kind of moment that we are in right now. We tired of it. And we're gonna keep getting reminded of it. So now at the end of the night, students were protesting, Mayor. Students went out there protesting. And I shout out to those students. They shouldn't have to do that, because we got grown folks in that legislature who won't handle the people's business, which is to figure out a way to keep people safe from mass shooting. That is part of their job. And at the end of the night, protesters, they came, those young people, take a look. So I get the need for showing a visual, being out there doing the die-in to do that, to show solidarity. I get it. Now, but it's not up to those young people, and shame on those grown folks for not doing their jobs. Now, that said, it would be beneficial to translate those kinds of actions, those performative demonstrations, into something that will be a tangible movement. And we reported earlier this week about what the Reverend Dr. Bernice King had to say about what the young people were doing. And this is what she cited as an example. She said, I wish there was a way to really organize them in a way that their walkout is not a day, but it's the Montgomery bus protests, that we refuse to return to school until there is some significant legislation that bans assault weapons. I mean, that makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, the Montgomery bus boycott was 381 days. They trained for that bus boycott. It was only supposed to be 1 day, but they decided 381 days that they were really over it and they were gonna put some sacrifice on that thing. And that's what happened during that bus boycott. But man, your thoughts about what Reverend King is saying or encouraging the young people to do?
Yeah, and I think her, her putting that in the universe, in the space, social media, where they can hear that. I hope it does spark something with some of them. These millennial generation, this Z generation are different. They're on fire. They're not party loyalists. And I think it's a possibility that we could see something like that. And I know what's going to happen. I know what Republicans are going to do. They're going to charge parents with truancies. But I think that just becomes the effectiveness of the campaign. So I look forward to these young children, and I shouldn't call them children, young adults who are not just in school battling books and knowledge they need to learn, but they're battling ducking bullets on a daily basis. And you have politicians playing games, trying to fundraise off of literally off the death of them, because you're expelling these black representatives because they're standing up against you being good lobbyist mouthpiece. So I think this is a real situation that these kids should get serious about and make it an organized effort.
Yeah, I do too. I'm all for it, to be willing to help it to happen. So again, shout out to Reverend Bernice King. Or we can definitely heed the words, like take Dr. Bernice King's words, and then let's heed some words and actions of one of the greatest freedom fighters himself. And that's Chairman Fred Hampton, who said the following: you can jail revolutionaries, but you can't jail a revolution. You might run a liberator like Eldridge Cleaver out of the country, but you can't run liberation out of the country. You might murder a freedom fighter like Bobby Hutton, but you can't murder freedom fighting. Yeah, that right there. Let that marinate all up in your soul, baby, in your soul, not in your head, in your soul. And while you letting it marinate, we'll be back after this.
Welcome to Indisputable. I'm your host, Dr. Rashad Richard. We got a lot happening today. But what do we do on this show? We tell the truth. You know why we tell the truth? Because the truth is simply indisputable.
Rashad, great to be here. Congratulations on the new show. And I gotta let everybody know that Rashad and I go way back.
Here's the pattern that we see in all of these Karen stories. They think they own stuff they do not own. Now, where does that come from? I don't know, maybe slavery. Maybe they think they should still own black people.
This is what happens when Karens weaponize the police.
When you're used to privilege, equality seems like oppression.
It hits you in a certain way when someone is holding you against your will, treating you like you're a criminal and you're an innocent person. This is something that black people face no matter where they are.
A stronger black economy lends itself to a stronger, greater economy. Don't think it's exclusive of you, it's inclusive of you.
What's your beef with critical race theory?
It adds more fuel to the fire of the racist tendencies that we already have.
We have a generation of problem solvers that can remedy the problem if they are properly taught what the problem is.
You know who created redlining in this country? It was a white liberal.
I don't give a damn who created it. If it's a racist policy, Shelley, here's what I don't know. I don't know. See, there you go filibustering, brother. You're scared of this truth, but you're gonna get it though.
Climate is changing fundamentally, extremely, and non-linearly. It's becoming worse now. It's not when the levees burst that is the problem. It's in the anticipation of that.
So I hope every human being is safe. And by human beings, I do not include multinational corporations, especially the ones that started climate change in the first place.
What we're currently doing right now in cutting emissions is clearly not enough. There will be ramifications to what Trump is doing. I don't want people to suffer, but I feel like there's gonna be a lot of suffering because we have an imbecile as our leader.
Welcome back to the show. We started hot. I mean, this is some serious business. So again, I'm just gonna remind you, unbossed might not be for everybody, because we show the requisite emotion when it's time to show that emotion. We don't try to pretend and try to conform or contort ourselves. When we talk about serious business, we talking about serious business. So that is that. Still, this is what's popping off in America in the 21st century. We're gonna go straight to the viewer comments. Maybe that'll get me settled down, Mayor. I need to settle a little bit. We starting with Twitch. Omega Dragon, hey Omega Dragon, Black Pearl Dragon, Nina, and Bearded and Swell Mondale on this Good Friday. I love it. Y'all put the mayor, lead the mayor while we read these comments. Omega Dragon, you did that, baby, you did. San Diego J, Nina, Mayor Mondale, sending you love and peace. What we all witnessed yesterday was the full unmasking of the Republican Party. Not that we didn't already know. This was just the full unmasking and announcement to the world of exactly who the Republican Party is. San Diego J, we agree with that. And on YouTube Super Chat, Not Equip. Damn, Nina is getting it. Today, keep your aggressive fight, Nina. It sustains my will to keep fighting as well. Thank you, Not Equipped. Well, Mayor, I mean, the comments from the lighthearted ones to the more serious ones, we definitely appreciate what our viewers have to say.
Indeed, I think that was powerful.
Yeah, very much so. All right, Mayor, we go into your story. Let's just go and stay and just do this thing. Carolina bait and switch. Another one bites the dust intentionally. Listen to this.
Modern day Democratic Party has become unrecognizable to me and to so many others throughout this state and this country. The party wants to villainize anyone who has free thought, free judgment, has solutions, who wants to get to work to better our state, not just sit in a meeting and have a workshop after a workshop, but really work with individuals to get things done, because that's what real public servants do.
Lord have mercy. She calling the people in Tennessee real public servants. I don't get it, man. But that was State Representative Tricia Cotham announced she's switching from Democrat to Republican, even though she was elected as a Democrat. And the rep argued that her party has become unrecognizable. Really, chick? Now that Rep Cotham served as a Democrat not that she served as a Democrat for a long time. Rep Tricia Cotham served in the state house as a Democrat for nearly a decade before stepping away in 2016. She ran again in 2020, winning a crowded Democratic primary and then the general election for the newly drawn House District 112 in southeastern McKinnonsburg County. And we have a graphic here to put up, and she won the race. Man, I mean, this is really dangerous what's happening with this woman. Yeah. I know this is a story that you care deeply about.
Yeah, well, there's a few reasons I care about this story. First of all, we should not be in a space. This is where I don't like our two-party system and wish we had a loss of we can have a vote of confidence. We lose it in somebody and get rid of them, because this is absolutely disgusting. Mecklenburg County in North Carolina is not just any county, right? This is where Charlotte resides. Now, while most of the black people percentage-wise are in the eastern part of the state, Charlotte in the western part of the state, southwestern part of the state, is the #1 place for black people. This white woman tricked black folk to elect her on progressive ideas, and then she go and switch to become a Republican. This has nothing to do with the party becoming something she didn't realize. If it was something you didn't realize, then why'd you come back to the party as a Democrat in 2022 and run as a Democrat and not as a Republican? Because you know a Republican couldn't win in that district. You did what you did because your supermajority is gonna prevent the governor from being able to veto these new districts that Republicans are gonna draw, and that district's gonna be less Democratic. This is the sneakishness as which these people are existing. But I wanted to talk about this story also, sis, because think about this. This is our voters getting it right, where the consultant class and the donors and the parties getting it wrong. This is why our voters, and the way they're getting it right is when they say your party looks just like the Republican Party. The fact that you can show up like this and flip parties and still be taken serious tells voters there's no reason to go vote. The Democratic Party has a massive problem. This is why we see voters dropping out of elections, sitting out of elections, because when they say the two parties are too close and I don't see a damn difference in it, well, there you go. This is bigger than North Carolina. This is a Democratic problem, states nationwide.
Yeah, there it is, Mayor. It really is. And just dupe the people because, she lied to those people. She should have just ran the way, as you just laid out. She should have ran and just be who you are. But she's just deceitful in that way. And it's dangerous in another way that not only, the Republicans already had supermajority. And she just added to it, being exactly who she was after the fact, after she lied and deceived folks. So Republicans already held a supermajority in North Carolina Senate. Gotham's flip gives them 72 seats in the state house and enough votes in both chambers to override any veto of Democratic Governor Roy Cooper. And Democrats reacted to Gotham's decision with anger and disappointment. Rep. Gotham's vote on women's reproductive freedom, election laws, LGBTQ+ rights, and strong public schools will determine the direction of the state we love. It's hard to believe she would abandon these long-held principles. Hell, they wasn't principles, and she still vote the way she has always said she would vote when these issues arise, regardless of political affiliation. The woman just lied, and now her true nature is coming out right now. That's what's happening in North Carolina. And then Rep. Jeff Jackson. This tweet right here, this morning, there was a political earthquake in North Carolina. A legislator in the state house announced she was switching parties from Democrat to Republican. I want to make sure you understand how dramatic the impact of this one switch will be. She was always a Republican, y'all. She was. Yeah, it was. And of course, through her website hasn't changed, which shows the following. Gotham's campaign website, which still lists her as a Democrat as of Wednesday afternoon, touted priorities such as protecting voting rights, affordable housing, healthcare, and equitable public schools, among other issues. What a joke. And under a section entitled Equality for All, Gotham calls herself a champion of LGBTQ+ rights and states right now, LGBTQ+ youth are under attack by Republican state legislatures across the country. I will stand strong against discriminatory legislation and work to pass more protections at the state level. That woman ain't gonna do none of that. Man, she's not gonna do any of that.
How the fact that this is the sloppiness at which people can exist. This platform, this party, her still lists as a Democrat, is still up as a website. How then? When is you becoming a Republican in line with any of that? Are you telling me the Republicans out here fighting, the Republicans that call themselves LGBTQI champions? Are you not foolish enough to believe that it's the Republicans who are actually attacking trans children? Right. Ensuring that we don't have fully funded public schools? Yes. Because this is where majority of Black kids are educated? Are you kidding me? What is she talking about? This is this double speak that you can do when you're a white woman surrounded by a bunch of white people protecting whiteness.
That's it. Talking out of both sides of her mouth. Both sides of her mouth. North Carolina, y'all need to do something. Don't let this stand. Oh, we moving from this. We done been to Tennessee, North Carolina. Now Marjorie Taylor Greene, she went to the big city on the day of Trump's indictment. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene took a trip to the Big Apple. Take a look at this interview where Greene compares Trump to none other than Jesus Christ.
President Trump is joining some of the most incredible people in history being arrested today. Nelson Mandela was arrested, served time in prison. Jesus was arrested and murdered by the Roman government. There have been many people throughout history that have been arrested and persecuted by radical, corrupt governments. And it's beginning today in New York City. And I just can't believe it's happening, but I'll always support him. He's done nothing wrong.
The woman said Jesus and Nelson Mandela. Jesus and Nelson Mandela. The woman is a joke. Georgia, seriously. Nothing that has happened to Trump compares to Jesus or Nelson Mandela. Mayor, your thoughts on this chick?
They all had long, so I guess they're in the same category, but what are we talking about here? Jesus, first of all, was not killed by the government, right? It was his own people that killed him. Pontius Pilate said, I'll hand them over to you.
Hey.
Blood is on your hand.
He said, pick.
So So I think we just, it's like you said though, she's a joke, so I shouldn't expect history to be correct, especially not biblical history. And there's nothing about her that's biblical anyway. So I am absolutely disgusted in her. And her real gripe is, and believe me, this is what her real gripe is. She thought she was gonna go to New York and be able to create a Twitter post, but the people in New York shut her down. Every time she tried to speak, the crowds were booing her loud so much so that she couldn't be heard. And that's what hurt her feelings.
Yeah, it did. And she got schooled. Don't bring that up in here and here. Don't do it, woman. But she's out of her mind. But this tweet really sums up Marjorie Taylor Greene. Let's put this up. Yeah, I remember the bit in the Bible where Jesus cheated on his wife with a porn star and then paid her hush money, which he failed to declare. They're like twins. It's uncanny. I remember that too. I vaguely remember that too. Yeah, that was in one of the chapters of the Bible. Yeah. Oh Lord Jesus, thank you, Emma Kennedy, for that chuckle, baby. We needed that. So you might be asking yourself, why was she doing the interview in the car? Well, Greene's trip to New York, as the mayor already, spoiler alert, New Yorkers were not letting this woman get a word in edgewise. It was not smooth sailing for her. They did shut her down, and which some news outlets mock. Chris Hayes mocks MTG for doing interviews from inside a car because New Yorkers heckling her was too much to bear. Y'all go ahead. But Marjorie Taylor Greene didn't have anything nice to say about New York during her visit. Listen to what she had to say.
Really quick, since you were just there, but Mayor Adams described New York as, quote, his home. How did his home look? Pretty neat and tidy?
No, his home is disgusting. I compared it to what I called Gotham City. The streets are filthy. They're covered with people basically dying on drugs. They can't even stand up. They're falling over. There's so much crime in the city. I can't comprehend how people live there. It was repulsive. It smells bad. And I think it's a terrible place.
She's repulsive. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, just don't bring your behind back to New York. How about that? And to just sit up there and categorize people who are on the streets because they're homeless. Have you had any conversation with any of those people? Do you know what's going on in their lives? But no, you get to label them in that way. And don't even give it a second thought. And the fact that Tucker Carlson didn't push back on her, which is no surprise. She just stereotyped the whole group of people in New York. If you think it's repulsive and disgusting, chick, don't go back, because they don't want you there anyway. Mayor, I don't know. I mean, look, Representative AOC, she smacked back, and this is what she said. She said it's a petty HOA complaint. We're a person. Marjorie Taylor Greene on New York is discussing it was repulsive, it smells bad. I think it's a very terrible place. If a petty HOA complaint were a person, that was good, Representative Ocasio-Cortez. And then she went a little further. If anyone went on TV and talked about a rural area like this, it'd be gloves off, and deservedly so. This is no different. If she doesn't like the greatest city in the United States, that's her problem. I love New York. Now, Rep, I'm just gonna read your quote, your tweet as you put it, but New York ain't the greatest. Okay, it's Cleveland, Ohio, but that's all right. You rep your place, I rep mine. Mayor, you probably got another greatest, but I just had to straighten that out. It's Cleveland, Ohio for me.
I don't think you and Sister AOC are too far. I mean, North Carolina's right up the street from both of them. So yeah. Infield, North Carolina's me. But I mean, like, and let's be serious here. Like, this goes back to what we're talking about. This party that calls itself law and order. This party that says it loves this country. It's patriotic. We have a person talking to a city that represents one of the most populated cities in this country. You're saying that people are smelly, it's gross, and to be honest, her trip was orchestrated. You didn't see New York. How long? She talked as if she'd been there.
Come on.
And actually, it was something telling in her lie, if we paid attention. She said, I call it Gotham City. You don't call it Gotham City. You watch Batman, so we all know where you got that from. And then the way she described New York was Gotham City. You described New York on TV, not New York as it really is. So and I definitely, and with you saying that New York is not the greatest city, I love the city, but infield exists. And I would say this one thing, that representative is upset. Had everybody in that crowd been clapping for her, New York would have been second home. She probably been looking for a district to draw in for herself there. I am sickened by these people.
Yeah, I am too, Mayor. But they let her have it, and Representative Bowman was there too. Out there, they were deep in them streets. Public Advocate Jumaane Williams was out there too, baby. They were letting them know, but we got our posse with us, chick. This ain't gonna happen on our watch. Well, kudos to all of them. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Georgia. I'm just so disappointed in y'all. Y'all got some work to do. Don't let that chick come back and represent you. She's a poor representative for y'all. Now we going to Florida. Ron DeSanctimonious on Wednesday said Florida Democrats are defeated, outnumbered, and beaten. Actually, just listen to how he described it.
Voters in Florida responded, and what used to be a swing state, now the Democratic Party in Florida is a hollow shell. It's like a dead carcass on the side of the road. I mean, we have beat the left in the state of Florida.
That's what he's thinking. So that was the Florida governor speaking at a Midland GOP's annual Dave Camp breakfast. Governor DeSantis touched on subjects that are now hallmarks of his stump speeches, particularly how people in other states fled to Florida to escape lockdowns, how fast his state is growing, and about woke policies and education issues. Topics that typically send the mainstream press into a fury of Trump quoting. Speaking of woke, can you guess how many times Ron DeSantis said woke in 15 seconds? Here's your chance.
So yes, we fight the woke in the legislature, but we also fight the woke in the schools. We fight the woke in the bureaucracy, and we fight the woke in corporate America. Our bottom line is we do not surrender to the woke mob. Florida's where woke goes to die.
If you guessed it, ding, 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 6 times, you are absolutely right. But there could be drama in the Republican Party. Rep. Thomas Massie endorsed Florida Governor Ron DeSantis in 2024 GOP primary. Conservative House Republican turns on Trump backing DeSantis for 2024, which of course Trump isn't happy about. So he reached out to potential donors of DeSantis with a memo showing data that he will be the nominee in 2024. And look at that. A new poll from New Hampshire shows President Trump with a double-digit lead in the state where his opposition thought they could win. 2024 Republican primary for president in New Hampshire, a multi-candidate ballot, and there you got it. You got President Donald J. Trump beating the crowd. Additionally, in his first post-indictment poll, Trump was leading DeSantis in 2024, 57% to 31%. DeSantis is so dangerous to this country. So we got 2 folks that are dangerous. DeSantis is especially dangerous to this country. And the man got problems. I mean, Mayor, look at everything that he's doing. He's trying to X out black, anything about black folks, black history, using woke. Woke is synonymous. He doesn't even know what the term woke actually means, but his base, they eat that kind of stuff up.
Yeah, I think here's the blessing of DeSantis. Everybody that's listening to him is a part of the sleeping party, right? Let's be serious. First of all, he's not being honest with people. What he should be concerned about, what he should be saying is the Democrats and Republicans in Florida are losing voters to unaffiliated and in minor parties. The growth of those 2 parties in Florida is where the growth really is. And all we're talking about is young people saying, I'm not affiliated with either. Right, I'll show up and participate in the electoral process, but it won't be for either of those parties. You can't say that the Florida Republican may be the only word that he knows. So I'm telling people, I'm super excited that Donald Trump is winning. I want Donald Trump to win the primary for the Republicans again, so they can have a criminal as their nominee, so we can run with that. And it may be an opportunity for a progressive to challenge this president we call Biden and see what we can get into there.
There it is, and we definitely need that. And shout out to Marianne Williamson, who's the only one out there right this minute who's out there saying, hey, let's primary. Jump on in there, y'all. The water is fine. Go ahead and do that. Turner Mondale 2024 might be coming to a neighborhood near you. But that is our time today, sisters and brothers and family and friends. We want to thank you so much for being with us today. This was a hell of a ride, Mary, and I'm so glad that we were riding it together, educating folks about what's happening in this country. Y'all got to come on, America. We can do so much better than we're doing right now. Now, you know what I want you to do about this time. I always want you to keep the faith. I know that life can be daunting at times. Keep the faith and marry that faith with fight. Until next time.